Welcome to episode 142 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, and Apple TV and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar. He's back. How you doing, Warren?
Much better. Last week was not a fun night again. I had to redo a sleep study that they messed up the first time. So This is much better. So
yes,
good to be here.
Glad you're back. And then we also have returning guests here. We have Mr. Holden Depardo and Mr. Brian Depardo. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the show.
Hello. Hey, guys.
I'm glad you guys are back. It's been, I think we last did our show around New Year's Eve, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And had a lot of fun. So we got lots to talk about this week. Apple never is quiet when it comes to stuff here. We'll be talking about some HomePod stuff, the iPhone stuff, and beta, and all kinds of stuff. Let's just dive right into it and jump into the news of this week. Mac Rumors is generally going to be our place to get some sources of some news this week, as always. First story here is Apple is developing quote unquote a HomePod model with a screen and cameras. This was a report that was a couple days ago from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. An unactivated temperature humidity sensor that's in the HomePod Mini that they were found briefly mentioned that Apple has been developing new speakers with screens and cameras. The report suggests that Apple could be at least exploring the idea of a HomePod model with a display and camera to compete with the likes of a Google Nest Hub Max or the Google Echo Show, and so on and so on. I'd be interesting to see this. This seems far-fetched to me, but the most interesting thing is the fact that the HomePod Mini has the humidity and temperature sensors. Holden, what do you think? This is pretty interesting.
I'm like you. I'm pretty skeptical of it. It just, when you're talking about visual-based devices where people could do FaceTime or something like that through, which is kind of the context in which this rumor is kind of leaked, I think people would be more willing to use an iPod or an iPhone or an iPad or their Mac for something like that.
Right. That
having this like screen-based HomePod doesn't make a lot of sense for me personally. I think one caveat is maybe they got rid of the regular big HomePod so that like HomePod Pro or something like that would have a screen. Right. Maybe, but I don't know. I don't think that's necessary.
Any thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think this is kind of sketchy. I think, if Apple were to go in that market, there's such a limited market for it, probably centered around like older people who might not have, a phone, grandma staying in touch with the kids kind of thing, like that awful Facebook. What was that called?
Portal.
I didn't even mention it. It was mentioned in the article, Facebook Portal.
Yeah. It was the camera that followed you because that's what people want from Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I don't see them doing this. I think, Apple plays around with a lot of stuff like this and probably, 90% of the stuff they do doesn't even get released,
Yeah. So. Any thoughts, Warren?
Yeah. I have a couple of the Echo Shows with the screen on it in the house. I have a Spot, which is a little one. Mm-hmm. And I never really use it other than, you wake up, it will display the weather for you and a couple of news stories. I look at that. It also shows a photo. You can use it as a photo album. It's just kind of neat, but it's not something if you took it away from me today, I wouldn't miss it that much. So, the trick would be for Apple to create something that would be different than an iPad on a stand, right? Because basically, if you're just talking about a tablet with a stand on it, that's not going to sell. But if they could do something, the Facebook thing, while it's Facebook and you don't trust a camera following you, if it was anybody else, if it was Apple with that technology doing that, that would be good for FaceTime, especially for older people who never stand in front of the camera the right way. And so I work in a retirement community, and they all have iPads, and that's how they talk to their kids, and that's how they do that. So if you made it easier for them, it could be a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, that just led right into the next story I just mentioned is this was a 9 to 5 Mac, actually. The HomePod Mini reportedly has a temperature and humidity sensor that could be enabled through a software update. This was, again, according to Bloomberg, and it was backed up by analysis by iFixit, which I would definitely trust those guys. The HomePod Mini included a secret sensor that is designed to measure the current temperature and humidity of the room the HomePod Mini is in. And it seems like the sensor could be activated through a software update to provide new functionality to HomePod Mini users. And of course, various home kit products do exist that can already measure temperature. So this would be, quite an ideal thing for it to do. And then 9 to 5 has a picture from iFixit showing the sensor that iFixit found. So Warren, what do you think of this?
I mean, people were talking that it would be good to have connected to a thermostat so you could control automatically the room. Yeah. But then again, most thermostats have sensor thermostat, the smart thermostat itself is basically doing that anyway. So, I'm not sure exactly what they would do with it. Maybe tell you if it's on fire or your house is on fire. That could be a good thing. I mean, the iPhone has it too. When it gets too hot, it tells you it's too hot. So somehow it knows it's hot. But I think there was a difference between an internal sensor and this is external. And that's what they were saying. This is measuring the outside of the device, where the iPhone measures the heat inside the device.
Yeah. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think that Apple puts in chips that aren't activated, and that this could be something that's coming with the software update. Maybe it's something in a new version of iOS. They're anticipating features. They're thinking ahead because, they plan these products like way out in advance. So this just could be something that's going to lay dormant until Apple introduces something. It might interact with another product they haven't announced yet. So, yeah.
And you Holden, what do you think?
I was quite frankly a little confused about this. I wasn't certain what the purpose was, but he brought up that earlier today, I think we were talking about it, that you might have zoned heating in your house, and one part of the house you might want to be different temperatures, so it can kind of help with measuring that, and then that might offer a kind of greater utility for putting HomePods around your house. Just kind of that one extra thing of you want to put them around your house, not just so you talk to Siri, but so it can measure things in your home. It kind of extends beyond just the music and kind of lives up to the home part of HomePod. But we'll just kind of have to see. I mean, it's possible they never do anything with this. I mean, I feel like we've found sensors in products before that haven't been used. But I can't recall any off the top of my head. I'm just I think that's happened. I'm pretty sure.
It was an iPod Touch. It happened once before.
That's right.
An iPod Touch. Yeah. They added Bluetooth to the device itself, but didn't enable it till a year later. I think just an afterthought is what they should have done with the HomePod and the Mini is made a mesh router system out of them. And I don't understand. Yeah. They discontinued Airport. They discontinued their routers right before the mesh, craze took off. Yeah. And I was so sure that they were just going to get into that with these devices. And it makes so much sense. I mean, you have all these Apple devices that's all over the house.
Right.
They also said at that time too, we're going to get rid of the airports because there's just no longer innovation we feel like we can contribute to. And then mesh starts to kind of blow up in the homes.
Yeah. Right. And so they want all these, and now they want all these Apple TV could have been one. All these devices are just sitting around, could just mesh throughout your house. And I think they missed the boat on that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
I agree with that. And then next story here, Apple may pay Samsung Display over reduced OLED iPhone 12 mini panel orders. Samsung Display could be paid by Apple over lower than anticipated OLED panel orders due to slow iPhone 12 mini sales, according to the industry observers. And an event that's happened a few times before. Apple enters into agreement with its supply chain partners, secures optimal pricing for components, and sometimes this involves contracts where Apple guarantees a minimum number of units to be ordered, and occasionally it cannot meet those requirements. And I know, Brian, you are a proud owner of an iPhone 12 mini. I'll give you the first dibs on thoughts of this.
It's tragic. I just, I tried to help them out by buying one. So, but I have to say I'm a little bit surprised that it's not selling better than it is. I got one. I was looking for something that was smaller. I didn't want to go down to an SE. And And I wandered into Best Buy one day and saw it and thought, wow, this is like really the perfect size for me. And when I went to go pick it up at the Apple store, he was doing, the transfer of the SIMs and all that other stuff. And he kept saying to me, you can return this if you want. And I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, okay, just letting you know, you can return it. And I'm like, that's nice. Okay.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah. He's like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, no one buys these, man. You're the only one. So I'm surprised. Yeah. I am. I think Apple might be a little surprised as well.
Yeah. Holden, what do you think? That phone is tiny. I have not been able to hold one in my hand, and I got a big hand, so.
I'm used to the 10R, so like that's kind of the size that like I would go for that myself personally. I'm not super surprised it's not selling as well, because I think that when someone's buying an iPhone 12, whether that's mini or Pro Max, I don't think price is a deciding factor for them. I think the size of the screen is. If price was the deciding factor, they would have gone for an 11, they would have gone for a 10R, they would have gone for an SE. So by the time you get up to the iPhone 12 mini, it's more about what's the phone I want to hold in my hand.
That's the case with me.
Yeah.
What do you think, Warren?
I mean, Apple gave people what they wanted. I mean, for years they were asking for a small phone that had pretty much all the features of the bigger phones, because in the past that wasn't the case. The SE was always an entry-level device compared to the other ones. I'm a little surprised it's not selling better, and I don't think it's going to be considered a failed product like some of the other products they have going forward. I think if they do get rid of it, people will start wanting it again in some other form. Maybe not that, maybe a little bit cheaper with some less features than the regular 12 and the Max. Again, it's too small for a lot of people, but some people like to, it's not. I mean, it's a good phone. It's the same phone as the other 12s, so it's just a size, like you were saying. I mean, some people just don't like the form factor. I also don't think Apple's going to cry about the money they have to pay to Samsung. I'm sure that's not a lot of money.
Yeah, I think that's pocket change for them.
Yeah. I think they'll keep around the mini size, though. I mean, I think enough people still bought it to justify its existence for people who want the most recent iPhone, and also
they won't plan to sell as many.
Yeah, they just won't plan to sell as many. Yeah. But also, I think they might make more money now on the regular sized iPhone 12 because they get to charge $100 more than they did for the 11.
That's true.
So they sell less of these minis, manufacture less of them, and they sell the normal one that sells more for more money. I feel like this is still a beneficial thing for Apple's bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. Next story, Mackie rumors. Apple has updates the iWork apps for iOS and macOS to version 11. This was a couple days ago as we record this. Apple today updated its suite of iWork apps designed for iOS and macOS to version 11, introducing a number of new features and tweaks to improve the functionality. On iOS, Pages, Numbers, and Keynote now feature on-screen keypads for entering exact values for text, spacing, table size, and more. Plus, there's a feature for adding or removing objects or tables from selection by tapping or dragging across them. There's also an option to open presentations, documents, and spreadsheets in edit mode for each app, and phone number links can be added to table cells and all kinds of improved things here. Warren, what do you think? I think this is some good improvements. I mean, on Mac as well, it's got some good improvements as well with the media browser and other things.
Not much to think about. I haven't had a reason to use any of them for a while.
No.
All I can tell you is it's a big update compared to everything else that you update on your iPhone and iOS devices. So it always makes the news whenever they update it for some reason. But yeah, I guess if I need to use it, I'll check out the features.
Brian, you use Keynote and Pages a lot. I think you did, do you? Or not much?
No, I really don't. They're good apps, The Pages app for iPhone, I think, is a little disappointing because it doesn't scale text very well.
Yeah.
Even like Microsoft Word, you can go into a mobile mode where everything is much bigger and easier to read, but unless the iWork app does that. The Pages for iOS does that, and I just don't know it.
I hadn't checked it. Holden,
it's been a long time since I've even used it.
Do you use them at all, Holden?
I use numbers sometimes. If I'm doing research on something, I'll just kind of use that to store some stuff, but I don't really use them a whole lot.
Yeah.
If I want to write, I use Ulysses or the Notes app or like Notion for notes. I don't know. I don't really use them that often.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys don't use Keynote as much. There's a lot of people really like Keynote, especially over PowerPoint. They did.
It is significantly better.
Oh, yeah. And they added the option to be able to view presenter notes in Mac in the current next slide. So they did a better job with that. I haven't had a chance to look at that yet, but I'm going to be looking forward to that when I do have to do presentations. So, but good stuff. This was a big story this week. This is in Mac Stories, which of course is renowned for having shortcuts. The recently created shortcuts links were currently broken. iCloud links to shortcuts broke sometime in the past 24 hours, which was about a day or two ago since we record this. Instead of opening the Shortcuts app, allowing users to install a shared shortcut, tapping a shortcut link displays an alert with a message, "Shortcut not found," explaining that the link may be invalid or the shortcut may have been deleted. Based on their internal testing on Mac Stories, the issues appeared to affect all shortcuts linked created before the yesterday when this was posted. This was a big, huge deal. I mean, the Mac Stories, if everybody doesn't know, is a great site. Federico Vitici and crew have just some great content on there, and they have almost 3 years worth of shortcuts and a shortcuts archive that they keep. So, needless to say, they were panicking. They did contact Apple, and then Apple did respond back to them late that day, saying we are aware of an issue and where previous shared shortcuts are currently unavailable. So they're going to fix it as quickly as possible. But breaking news, this hit a couple hours before we recorded this. This has been fixed. Apple did fix the shortcuts problem. I'm not sure what happened, and there isn't really much of a reason what happened, but interesting. Well, what'd you think, Warren? I thought this was an interesting story that this happened.
Yeah, I saw the story, and I have one or two shortcuts that I use all the time that I think were broken before this. So I didn't know if it was this was my problem or something else. You know, they sync across devices, so I have an iPad and the iPhone, and I created a shortcut on one, and it works on my iPhone, but it doesn't work on my iPad. So then I thought maybe this had something to do with it, but probably not.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's fixed, so
yeah,
not much else to say about it.
Brian, Holden, what do you think? Do you guys use shortcuts?
Pre-COVID, I used a couple I had made to because I picked my kids up from school. So I had a shortcut that would text them, let them know based on location about when I would be there to pick them up. So I would run that when I left work every day. But other than that, I'm not one that's tinkering with shortcuts all the time or trying to automate.
I want to start playing with them more. It's just finding the time.
I just don't have the time.
Find the time to do it. Yeah. Do you tinker with them all, Holden?
Yeah, so I have one pretty intricate shortcut. Did I ever tell you about this?
You sure did.
I basically, whenever I want to add an item that I need out of my grocery list, I have a shortcut for it. It asks me what section of the store it's in, and then I tell it what name it is, and it puts in the reminders app and then sorts it based on location in the grocery store. So when I get to the grocery store, I can just look at my Apple Watch and scroll through, and everything's just sorted the way I need to.
Nice.
It's super, super long, but it works good enough.
It's okay.
But it's sharing them is a huge pain to begin with.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well, the folks at Mac Stories are very happy. Federico is very happy it's working again because they were in panic mode, and as based on all the tweets they were sending out.
Yeah, I think Apple rebooted iCloud, and it's.
I think that's what happened. Yeah.
You just smacked the top of the server and started.
Did you turn it off and on again?
Yeah.
It's like the IT crowd. Did you reboot it?
Yeah, exactly. I always like these feel-good stories about iPhones and being damaged or dropped somewhere. This was a 9to5 Mac. iPhone 11 Pro survives a 30-day dive in a deep freezing lake. There is a video on this out here. It's insane. It said when this was published a couple days ago here. Actually, it was actually today as we record this. 2 weeks ago, they reported an iPhone surviving a 6 months at the bottom of a lake. This was another story. Now, a new story shows an iPhone 11 Pro that survived a 30-day dive in a deep freezing lake in Canada. On CTV News reported that a woman was celebrating her 50th birthday in an ice fishing spot on Wasukiel Lake in Saskatchewan. So it's mighty cold in Saskatchewan, I would think, when she accidentally dropped her iPhone 11 Pro into the lake. She said she had her phone on her knee. It tends to blow up. I go grab it. It tends to go down. There it goes. So they couldn't get to it. So then they waited 30 days later, went back, found a magnet of some sort. They knew exactly where it was fell. She was able to retrieve it. It turned back on and charged. It sat in that lake for 30 days. I just makes me even more proud of me being an iPhone owner by something like that happening and it surviving. What do you think, Brian? This is crazy.
I think Angie got real lucky.
She sure did.
That it is amazing. Like I'm always like, when things are like quote unquote waterproof or whatever, it's like I'll take a shower with my Apple Watch and I'll freak if I'm in there too long.
Me too. I won't even submerge my watch.
So now that I know I can lay at the bottom of a lake, frozen lake for 6 months,
You'll still be scared of the shower though.
Yeah. I think I'm good. But wow, that's an incredible story. That's a real.
Yeah. There's a video too. I haven't had a chance to watch the video yet, but there's the links in the show notes. You have to watch that. Check it out. What do you think, Holden? The same thing. It's just crazy.
It's crazy for sure. I do have this what's the opposite of a silver lining? This person,
black
someone
lining.
in the Apple store with like a liquid damaged iPhone and be like, what do you mean it's liquid damaged? I read that a phone was at the bottom of a lake for 6 months. And there'll be those situations for sure because of this. But no, obviously it's really impressive.
Obviously a freshwater lake, so I don't think goes much of a problem with being a saltwater ocean. So any thoughts, Warren?
Yeah, when COVID first hit, I saw like a video of some actual person who's technical enough washing their iPhone under a faucet in soap to disinfect it. I'm like, you're a crazy person. And then I'm like, well, let's try it. So I took my iPhone, I ran it under the faucet.
You did it?
Fried it up, and it was fine. So I mean, I've done that actually a few times now. But again, it's I do IT tech, and I've seen people drop phones from buildings and it being fine, and then dropping it from here to the carpet and smashing. And just like you said with the water damage, just sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. So this woman got lucky, I guess. There was another story like that too. Not too.
Oh yeah, there's been many. I just thought this one was quite intriguing. To be 30 days, crazy stuff here.
They said it is waterproof. I haven't heard much about the durability of the new glass. It's not the grill glass out of 12. They called it something else. But I haven't heard.
Ceramic shield.
They gave it a name during the presentation, but I haven't heard anybody testing the durability or any reports on it or anything like that.
I can tell you that my normally within a month of having a new iPhone or a new iPad, I scratch the screen.
I got scratches on mine already.
And I've had this since maybe November or whatever. And there's not a single mark on this phone. Knock on wood.
I might have even.
It
feels different too. Do you notice that, Dave?
Yeah, I got a few.
Glass feels a lot different.
It does.
I have this. You guys don't put screen protectors on then?
No.
Yeah, no, I do. Cheap ones. So I had an iPhone something at one point, and I had the screen protector off, and I went to the beach one day with it, and the sand scratched the hell out of it. I mean, and I don't even couldn't even tell you when that happened. It was weird. So ever since then, I'm
keys in pocket usually.
Yeah. So ever since then, I'm just get a $5 for a 3-pack on Amazon, and I actually don't think my iPhone has ever actually been touched by human hands, because I have the thing on there and I have the case on there. So I think it's pretty clean.
Next story here is iPhone 12 Pro Max is among the best smartphones of 2021, says Consumer Reports.
It is.
Warren and I can both agree to that because we both own it. Apple's iPhone 12 Pro Max is among the best smartphones of 2021 and is the top iPhone of the year, according to new smartphone rankings shared by Consumer Reports. They're the fast 8 to 14 processor, OLED display, camera technology, and 5G connection earned it one of its top slots. Consumer Reports recommending it over other options because of the longer battery life. I will definitely attest to that. And larger display and the 2.5 x zoom camera. Well, it will cost you $100 more than its smaller sibling, the iPhone 12 Pro. It will pack several more hours of battery life, a slightly larger display, and the zoom. So, yeah, I don't think you have to say much else to know that we will definitely attest to it. So,
all I could tell you is, every year I say when a new one comes out, I'm not going to get it because why would it be better than what we have now? It's the best, and every year they get us. Every year they're like, they do something that makes us want to get it. So
that's why I'm on the trading plan.
Now, hopefully this year they don't do anything like leave it exactly the same, so I don't have to buy it.
Yeah, just like we did the iPads. We stayed with our 2018s.
Well, those were exactly the same, pretty much. There was like one difference between the two, but
it wasn't worth it. What do you think, guys? Holden, what do you think?
I mean, better version of best phone ever is now the best phone ever. So I mean, it's not super surprising. I have a 10R. I've been very happy with my 10R. I did feel at launch that kind of urge to buy it because the 12 is just really, really nice overall. This is the 12 Pro Max, of course, but just 12 in general is just so nice. I'm very tempted, but I'm holding out still. I'm holding out.
All right. Brian, any thoughts? You're still happy with your mini?
I think they misspelled iPhone 12 mini in the headline. That's what I think.
Due to the slightly reduced battery life from the other models, the 12 mini is the best iPhone of the year.
I will say this. The battery life on the mini does suck.
Does it really? I mean, is it as bad as they say?
I mean, it lasts all day. I will say that. And that's all I needed to do. But it's around maybe 20%. I'm not one who sits on my phone, for long periods of time. I don't use it that much. So I'm surprised that the battery life isn't better. Yeah.
Well, they say in the article here too that it is in the top 10 rankings of all the other iPhones are as well as the 11 Pro Max, 12 mini, and 12 Pro is in there. So we're not all surprised. The iPhone is
the mini is the best iPhone for small hands. That's what it says in the article.
Yeah.
Let's say about me.
All right, let's I kind of treat this as a topic if anything. I kind of wanted to talk about this only because it was kind of exciting, and many of us on this panel have been around with Apple and Macs for quite a long time. It's been 20 years since Mac OS 10 it was introduced, and I really iOS would not be here as we know it today if it wasn't for Mac OS and Mac OS 10 back in all those days. I linked the article in the show notes from 9 to 5 Mac, and I like the headline here. It was on an act of desperation at the time because of OS 9, of not people too happy with the way OS 9 was. But it's got quite a bit of history. And, Brian, I know you've been working with Macs for a really long time. And I kind of like to see your spin, where Mac OS has gone. And then how do you think it was influenced by iOS?
Well, I mean, they were in a very desperate situation. Apple was when they bought Next. At the time, everyone thought they're going to buy BOS, and I loved BOS at the time. So I was kind of really rooting for that. But they were in a desperate, I'll tell you how desperate it was. I was at Mac World Expo in Boston, I think it was 96, and Apple was doing a demo of Copeland. And it literally, in a 15-minute demo, it crashed about 6 times. It was just a mess.
Kind of like Windows 95.
Very clear that they needed something. So, we wouldn't have iOS without macOS. We wouldn't have iOS without NextStep, Right. And I think that, if you remember the early days of OS 10, where you click on a menu, wait 10 minutes, and it finally drops down, it's come a long way. But I think that iOS has really led the way for the more recent versions of macOS.
Yeah, I think so. I think it really has. Warren, how long have you been part of the Apple world for quite a long time? I don't know how far back you went.
Thinking about. I think I was right between Leopard and Snow Leopard.
Yeah, I think you and I were right around the same time when we started being immersed in Apple, like I am.
But I remember playing with OS 9, OX, whatever they called it, and not being kind of confused when I looked at it the first time, because I started with DOS and then Windows 3.1 and then 95 and did that whole thing. But yes, my first one was I got a Mac Mini. I think it was the first Intel version of the Mac Mini.
Core Solo.
It was something like that. I think it was the first one.
Yeah, that was horrible. That was one of the very first Mac Minis. That was so bad.
But it was
at the time it was
for me. At the time, it was great. So so I started from there, and now now here we are. Like it, obviously.
Now, Holden, what do you obviously had been in as long as we have, but would you have any thoughts with macOS and iOS?
Yeah, I mean, macOS is or macOS 10 even has just been the way I've been using Macs pretty much my whole life. I mean,
right.
Came out in 2001. I was 8, so like I didn't really have much. I mean, I remember kind of what macOS 9 looked like, but hardly.
Yeah.
Oh, you be at my computer renaming folders, and
I have no memory of that.
he actually.
Brian might be able to bring memory because he's got a few machines that has it running, I'm sure.
I do. I have a 2CX back here, right here. He actually, that same computer right there, when he was a little kid, he was so amazed that it sucked the disc in. When you
That's right.
And so he kept shoving them in and then got really mad when they weren't coming back out. And so I took it apart and I found like 3 discs wedged inside the
Oh my
case.
gosh.
So yeah.
He hasn't let me touch a computer since.
Well, that's why he has his own. He can mess his own machine up, right?
Yeah.
No, but it's a good. Go ahead.
Going back to macOS 10 though, I really do remember Lion as kind of the first time that Mac made that jump to being like iPhones and iPads, to bringing the gestures in, and that's full screen. That's when I think I really started to really like Mac OS a lot, apart from just being a computer I had to use.
Right.
That was kind of the first one for me I really enjoyed. And the App Store too came out that update. It was like 30 days after or something like that. Like there was a delay.
Snow Leopard was the first one with the App Store.
Yeah,
Snow
you're right.
Right.
Yeah,
and
it was announced like when they announced Line. I think there was some sort of alignment there. Was my memory of it. I think.
Was it around the time they made them free updates? I think it was around that time.
Snow Leopard was the last paid one, I think, and then
I think so.
and then Lion was free.
Lion was free.
That was one of the best Steve Jobs moments, is when he got on stage and said, we're selling, I think it was Leopard. There's the basic edition for $129. There's Enterprise for $129. There's that was hilarious. And the Ultimate Edition, all the features for $129.
Yeah, compared to what Windows was doing.
Go for Ultimate. Yeah.
Every year he's paying $129.
Yeah.
But no, Windows is still doing it. They're still charging.
Yeah. But it really has a lot of influence on iOS, and I think iOS wouldn't be here today and in its iteration as it is. And I think we can appreciate it, right on the first day that Steve Jobs was on stage and announced the first iPhone in 2007 to, where we are today. Gosh, it's been a long time since we've been using these devices, and, we can't live without them now. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys, this device is in your hand a good chunk of your day, so it's hard not to.
Some people complain that Big Sur looks a little too much like iOS at this point. So,
it took me a while to get used to it. But
I love it.
Yeah,
I
like
now.
it. Yeah,
but
it took a while, but.
This is a good piece to read. 9 to 5 Mac. There's also a link in Macworld in that piece for Jason Snell. If anybody would give you a good view of Mac OS, it would be with Jason. So check that out. We can get through that. So I don't want to get too deep into more of a Mac discussion here, but I thought it'd be a good topic just to at least touch on for just it's kind of celebratory where iOS is too, and it's going to continue to evolve. So. All right, let's go talk to beta this week. We Warren and I always talk about beta, and Beta 5 just got released a couple days ago here, and I haven't seen really much difference. Have you seen anything yet since you've installed it? Because I don't have to question, because Warren lives on the cutting edge of, as you guys don't know, and he has beta installed on everything. Well, except he avoids going on his M1s because he regretted that.
No, they're both on beta. I gave in.
So you gave in. Okay,
yeah, they're both on beta. But I mean, I wouldn't even call it living on the edge anymore. I mean, this beta has to be more polished than anything else. It's kind of crazy that they're not releasing this thing to the public, especially this whole, the whole mask and watch thing is just. I've been using it for the last 2 months. This first beta came out, and they were like the best 2 months of my life. I mean, with compared to having to take off my mask every time. So, I mean, they didn't make a big deal, but news outlets made a huge deal over it. And if I was a normal person, I'd be sad watching people have it and not me. So, what do you think? Next week?
I can't imagine it. And I mean, there's no announcement. I had thought they're waiting for the announcement for the new products coming out, the new iPads and just nothing. So, but no, I agree.
It works. I mean, right? I haven't found any problem with it. I mean, once in a while, it doesn't unlock with the mask. I mean, you have to put in the password, but I don't think that's a bug. I just think it's, happens. I don't know what they're waiting for, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And the article goes through, we've been talking about it over and over again, again, we're talking about the Apple Watch being able to unlock the phone with your mask on, being able to have two SIMs, or I'm sorry, the eSIM and a SIM, and have two carriers that will run 5G for you, which I think is exciting. And Fitness Plus stuff, and then they've added so much stuff we've talked about a bunch of times, and I don't think there's, as you say, I don't think you see much else in difference between 4 and 5, right?
No, nothing at all.
So, and you guys,
I think the article says that they removed the Siri. You put it in the next article. Doesn't it remove the Siri in the iOS as well, or the references to it, or is that just on the Apple TV?
I think that was the Apple TV.
Okay.
Yeah, that was from last. I didn't put that in here, but I'm sorry. No, I do have the article in here. This is the other article about tvOS. It removes Siri remote mentions in tvOS beta 14.5, and then changes the home button name in itself. Yeah, so tvOS 14.5 beta. There's some small but notable changes, which is unusual, because when I tend to not look at tvOS when it updates, because it generally has no updates other than
update it. What else is going to be there?
Yeah. True. It said Siri remote has always been Apple TV remote in countries where Siri functionality is not available on the Apple TV, but now Apple is using the Apple TV remote wording in countries where the remote was previously referred to as the Siri remote. Okay, so this is just another country that had to change it, to have to adapt to it probably. So in other words, nothing, no big deal of updates. So, but Apple TV, that's a whole nother story. It's just
emojis. You're missing out on, if you're not on beta, you got what, 5 or 10,
emojis on Apple TV.
15 no, on the iPhone. You're missing emojis.
I didn't look at that.
With the beta, yeah.
Some new ones.
The guy smoking a cloud, and
I see him.
Needle. Yeah, the hypodermic needle. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'll use that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, of course, the AirPods Pro Max. You got to have that.
Yeah,
that's true.
That too. Yeah.
So
with the remote,
go ahead.
I really hope it's indicative. It probably isn't indicative of this, but I really hope they're going to redo the remote for Apple TV.
Oh God, yes.
Awesome. And it's also really expensive, and so is the Apple TV to buy everything together. It's like cut the price down with a not cheap remote, but like just less expensive remote.
I just use my phone.
Yeah,
I use my phone. I use my phone.
I use the phone
exclusively.
I'm also, if you guys aren't familiar, I did a review on it. The Function 101 makes a remote. That's really nice. The only bad thing about that one is it doesn't have Siri and doesn't have the touchpad to move things around. But it looks and feels like a regular remote. So normal people who don't need to have those functions are I gave it to my wife. She's like, oh yeah, this remote's a lot easier than the other. I can't figure that out.
not having the touchpad is actually a benefit of your remote.
Right.
That you
hit it. And,
I end up touching it all the time when I'm not trying to touch it.
I ended up breaking the remote like 2 days after I got the Apple.
Oh, is that why you guys don't use it?
Yeah, and I kept saying to the kids, "It's really fragile. It's glass. It's got a glass. Don't touch it." And then I break it.
Well, if you gave it to Henry, he would have broken it in like 30 seconds. So,
all right. Well, that's all we pretty much have for beta this week. Like I said, let's hope they come out with stuff here. I also put in here WatchOS 7.4. I don't think did you see anything on WatchOS? Same thing, right? Nothing earth shattering, right?
no blood pressure.
Yeah.
No.
Nothing huge.
They activated the hidden chip in the watch that I don't know about. That's watching me sleep or something stupid like that.
Exactly. Next topic I wanted to bring up is blocking spam calls, and boy, it has just been god awful. I'm assuming you guys have been experiencing the same thing as of late.
God,
I mean, it's constant. I mean, I must get 5-6 calls a day, whether I want to extend my warranty or if I want to. Or my electric bills, I'm paying too much.
Or the Marriott. Do you get the Marriott's calls?
I haven't got those. No.
I get your friend referred us to you. You want to stay at a Marriott?
Oh,
and
I'll be all over that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'm getting 5 today.
You guys might not be able to do this, but I just do the whole turn off unknown callers. I know you guys can't do that.
Because of work, I can't.
Yeah, work I can't do that.
It's the greatest. I do love to leave voicemails for Dad, though. That's like, "Hi, Brian. We are calling from car company about your car warranty." I leave that voicemail all the time for Dad.
I have dozens of voicemails.
Yeah, same. So, but T-Mobile has, as my preferred carrier, since I use them, has that thing called Scam Shield. And it does a pretty good job for the most part, but there's still quite a few that slip through. There was an article here I put.
It's not that good.
It's gotten better. I mean, but it's not. It could be better. But there was an article here I put in the show notes here about that they did announce as today as we record this the first U.S. wireless provider that's managed to complete deals with all the wireless networks to implement full number spoofing and spam call protection for its customers. With the partnerships in place, they had completed the implementation of the stirred/shaken standards that are in place to combat these illegal caller ID spoofing. Because, oh my God, the spoofing is just off the charts. It's just crazy. T-Mobile is now able to authenticate calls with its wireless and network providers that represent 98% of the wireless customers in the United States. So,
you ever get a call from yourself?
I don't know for myself.
I
get a prefix.
I got myself once, yeah. And I answered, I'm like, why am I calling me?
and they probably said, we're going to extend the warranty for you.
Probably. Unlikely.
So, I mean, the app has gotten better. And the nice thing about T-Mobile is compared to AT&T and Verizon, who's charging for it each month, if you want the advanced features, $4 a month, they're actually now offering it for free. They're including it with your plan. It does help, and I do see Scam Likely all the time on it for the most part. You also could get a service like Digits, which allows you to get an alternate number that you could give out.
I had to cancel that.
Because I am getting calls.
I was getting more. I got one call that was intended for me and about 2,000 that was intended for Ashley, the previous owner of this phone.
The phone number, yeah. So there's other options. There's other options. So, but you guys just you block. You said you block all your unknown callers. So I guess I can't call you. So if I call you, I'll go right to your voicemail.
If you send me a voicemail, I'll respond to it. I'll look at the voicemail.
All right, cool. But you guys don't do anything else special. You just let it go.
I just take the pain.
Ignore them if you don't know the number. Well, that's the problem. Like you said, for us, you and I, for work, we can't just, especially when. But if it's a local number, for something that's in the area, it is. But sometimes
all the spam likely calls from me are all in my area.
Yeah.
Right.
They're all like almost my phone number. They're like 2 or 3 digits off from my number.
The same extension.
I did have the unknown callers turned off, so I would get unknown callers. I had the benefit of having a Chicago number, but living in Rhode Island. So anytime I saw 224, I'm like, it's a spam call every time.
Well, I got
Or
847, so
Dave.
Or Dave, yeah.
well, I'm 847, so
I don't even think I don't have the app installed, A7 installed. I should put it back on.
yeah. So I just good information. We'll let everybody know out here. So, next topic I wanted to bring up is anybody use the do you guys use the app Reflector? It's a great screen sharing app on the Mac that you could share your iPhone very easily. I don't know if you've ever been used that before.
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't heard of it before.
Oh, really? I love this app, and I've used this for years, doing a sharing of your iPhone or your iPad through AirPlay onto your Mac. It creates an AirPlay way. It's kind of like what you would do with your on the Apple TV. And so Reflector hadn't updated it in a number of years, and especially the fact that they didn't have a version for M1. It was Intel only. So finally they updated it with Big Sur support, and it's got new device frames and more. We got an article in 9to5Mac that's going over reviewing it. I'll also put a link in the show notes to purchase it. It's not terribly expensive. You can get a $17.99 for the Mac version, and they also have a Windows version, believe it or not. So you can buy a unified license. And it'll work on either Windows or Mac. And not that I would ever want to use it on Windows, but too often.
Or use Windows.
Or yeah. If you're not, like I said, like it says in the article, if you're not familiar with it, it's a popular app that allows you to mirror and stream content connections from your iPhone, your iPad, and mirror the display. And so for demonstrations, it really works out really well for how it works. And they did optimize it for the Apple Silicon on the M1 Max. And I did know that a lot of latencies has been solved because I was doing that a little bit with latency over the Wi-Fi network. It does have a new interface that kind of matches the way Big Sur looks, so it's kind of cool. And then the update also brought some frames, so it's important that I have the blue back on it, so when it comes up, it actually looks good. So I actually should demo it while you. I don't know if it'll crash and burn here if I try to, but anyway, and also, like I said, it's cross-platform, so it'll also work with Google Cast and Miracast devices too. It didn't do that before. It was strictly AirPlay. So if you have to stream things like an Android, God forbid, or a Chromebook or any other types of devices, you can now do that as well using if you wanted to mirror a Mac using Miracast, you could do that if you wanted to. So it's a cool app. Again, the link's actually in the article. It's like I said, $17.99, and you can update it. They don't, for the amount of cost it is. They don't really offer much of a discount if you were a previous version customer, which is fine. I mean, $18.
Well, it's only $17 or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
I think I can live. So I'm surprised you guys hadn't seen this before, and I'm glad everybody whoever wants to actually do a demonstration, especially. You might want to show your family member something on the iPhone. It's so much easier than let's sit around the phone and look at it. Where you could just, if you have an Apple TV, you could do it too. So,
I used something like this years ago. I don't think it was the same one, but I was teaching a class on something with the phone and used that to do it. And it worked well. It might have been the same one. It's been around for a while, right? You said?
Quite a while, and it's also very popular in the education market. So it's definitely been around for quite a while. Yep. I think it's Air Squirrels. I think is the name of the company. If I'm not mistaken. Let's go to their site here, and yes, Air Squirrels is the name of the company. So check it out. I think it's a cool thing here. So. Let's go on another topic here. We actually had a listener send an email here at feedback@intouchwithios.com. She asked that she has an iPhone 8 and wanted to do an upgrade and asked, what would you think the best choice would be? So I gave her a suggestion. Originally, I said the iPhone 12 or the 12 Pro might be a good choice for you. But I think the iPhone SE might be an even better choice for you because if you don't want to if you're not looking to get massive upgrades and save some money, I mean, the iPhone SE basically is an iPhone 8, but it has upgraded innards, with the upgraded camera, upgraded processor. And I thought it would be good, and especially the fact it still has Touch ID, because a lot of people still love that home button and having Touch ID that's still available to them. Brian, what do you think? I think it'll be a good suggestion. What would you suggest for somebody who has the iPhone 8?
I agree with you. I think that another big plus is that the cases work. So if this person has iPhone 8 cases that they particularly like,
yes,
they can keep them because
that's
they
true.
work. I think the 7 and the 8 cases work.
It's a smidge off, I think, and very little, if any.
Yeah,
because the camera's still there.
Yeah. So I think it's really a good choice, especially, there are days definitely wearing a mask, you got Face ID. Apple Pay is so much easier with Touch ID than with Face ID.
It is.
So,
especially when you drive through, you're like, oh, I got my Apple Watch. But
yeah, exactly. But, my wife has an iPhone 8 Plus, and she's kind of at the point now where the battery's not great.
Yeah.
Does she get a new battery? Does she get a new phone? She doesn't really want, Face ID. So, yeah, I think it's a good choice.
Well, what would you suggest if someone asked you go from iPhone 8?
I would say, so I definitely see where you're coming from with the cases for the iPhone 8 and all that. I'm a huge proponent of Face ID. I think Face ID is awesome. It seems like my dad has all sorts of problems with Face ID. I never have any problems. It is flawless. I never think about unlocking my phone anymore.
Faces a lot.
You change faces all the time. So I'm a huge fan of Face ID. I think for me, it makes Apple Pay easier. But I think that if you're looking for comfort and kind of not changing and rocking the boat too much, the SE is obviously the more affordable, better option. But if you want to, get something I think more seamless, I think the iPhone 12 is still
especially the iPhone 12.
Yeah, if you want to help Apple out and buy an iPhone 12,
he loves his mini.
Yeah.
What would you do? What would you do, Warren?
I agree with Holden. Right,
Holden.
Which one's Holden? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think the Touch ID phones look antiquated at this point. The screen itself is not as nice. Obviously, they're not using the OLED screens. I mean, I would suggest they still sell the 11s, right?
Yeah,
at the Apple Store.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably a better bet. The size is good. The price is probably about the same as the SE at this point, or close to it. I'm just not a fan of the button anymore. You get more screen with the Face ID.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
right.
Yeah.
So split 2 and 2, huh?
Seems like
it's so much harder.
just get the 12 mini. It'll all be good.
I made the suggestion only because the basis of they may still like the 8 and don't like change. But I would say the second option would be the 12 or the 12 Pro, which would be very similar, but having a better camera.
Yeah.
12 Pro, obviously, we get the 3 lenses. So, all right.
The 11's a good phone too. I mean,
absolutely.
My son had one, and it's a good phone.
Another listener sent in a question about how do you change your default photo settings from HEIC to the most compatible? That's always been a challenge. Whereas, I mean, I don't mind it because I think it's close. Of course, it's high efficiency is those files for your photos that are on your iPhone, so you want them to you want them to be that way because it's going to save space, especially for those of you who are space challenged. If you have a 64 gig or I have a 256, so I'm okay in most cases. But there might be sometimes you may just not want to do it because you might get into predicaments where you're in a pinch. You want to share the file, and what ends up happening is you share it with somebody either where it's through AirDrop, or if you share it with somebody on your computer, then it ends up in the HEIC format. And then sometimes on their computer, they don't have the option to be able to convert the file that easily, especially on Windows. You deal with that a lot. And they do have a plugin, but it's never that great. You end up doing a screen. I end up doing a screenshot of it using like Snagit or something. So the way to change it off and turn it off in the settings, you want to switch it over to not the high efficiency, is you go into settings under camera and then under formats, and then you can make the choice of set it to most compatible to favor the JPEG files. So then going forward, it will now be the full size formatted JPEG files. So it might take up a little more space, but at least you'll now have more compatibility is really what it is. if you want to have high efficiency, then you want to leave it. You should leave it set to set to not more compatible. So it keeps things in a better place here. And the new file, as I have here in the show notes, the new file format for images is much better in every way than the old JPEG format because of that reason. It gives better compression, fewer artifacts. You're going to have some better quality, especially if you have those of you who have the 12 Pro or the 12 Pro Max that also has the ability to shoot RAW. You're going to really be able to go even higher end, but I think most who are listening probably don't shoot RAW or will shoot RAW. So I think this is a good choice to being able to do that. And I also put in here, the only reason you might not want to use this is that it hasn't been implemented in every single service yet. So like I said, some places may not allow you to upload the photo, because if you upload it right from the phone to your to the service, it may not work, and you have to convert it. So I assume you guys, I leave it on HEIC. I assume you guys do too, right?
I haven't changed the setting, but I've noticed at work, people send me pictures. I'm getting a lot more
Me too.
HEIC photos.
Since we both do the same job, in different locations, that's what we deal with on a daily basis. You deal with that, Warren, when you're in your support world?
No, not really. I don't even know what my setting is. I can't tell the difference. I turned on RAW once and it scared me. I turned it back off. So
it scared you.
I don't really play with it. All the pictures look fine to me. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a photo editor. I just take pictures. I like the photos up, the auto enhance. That's about as technical as I get with that.
Yeah. And then other tip I wanted to give is the ability. How do you switch between apps on an iPhone and iPad? And I have a link in the show notes to OS X Daily, which is always a good place to find all kinds of great stuff about things with Apple. And the way you can switch between apps, the way I do it all the time is to swipe up and being able to swipe between the apps and be able to do that. Once in a while, I don't know if you guys do it. I swipe up and then I want to close them. I know don't really need to close them because, but I know there's a lot of people out there who get really are kind of what's the word? A little crazy with
Up in
that.
arms.
Yeah,
I love closing. I love closing my apps out.
Okay. Yeah.
I hate people. I hate when people don't do it. It just annoys me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I work on my wife's phone, and there's from the beginning of time, she has the apps open, and
notice the phones were still working fine because it can't manage it. So
it's designed to leave them all open.
It's a psychological.
Yeah, but some apps do need a close and open sometimes.
Yeah,
because they're coded
seen
badly.
I find that on the Apple TV lately, I'm having to do that.
Yeah,
apps get stuck, and you've got to do tap on the TV button, and then it.
But 9 times out of 10, when somebody comes up to you, a user comes up and says this is not working, 9 times out of 10, if you just close it out and open it back up, it relaunches this right. So.
I have been told that it actually drains the battery more.
It's a myth.
It's not.
No,
to have the
I have
open.
Very first-party sources on that one. I'll just leave it at that.
Fake news.
Yeah.
It is fake news. Yeah, it does not drain the battery. That's been an old myth for years. But really the nice thing about it is being able to switch to, and really the tip in mine was to be able to switch between apps. When you swipe up on your phone, you can then swipe left and right to move between the apps, and then you see which app you want to go back to, and you just tap it. So that's the nice thing about the app already being open, so that you want to just swipe up, go to it. Of course, you have the other option. If you went from one app to another, at the top left, it'll tell you what app is still available to you. Like you go from the browser to say Mail. It'll if you tap the link, you could tap at the top left, and it says Mail. You're gonna bring it right back to Mail. It has that too. So that's another way of being able to switch between apps. But this method is the way of just swiping up, and then you can swipe left, swipe right, get to where you want. But Warren will never have his apps open, so he won't be able to do this. So,
is it the same with the home button, or did they change it to the swipe up?
Well, because of
the home button.
Yeah, on the older phones.
On the older phone, you still used to do the home button. Yeah,
I thought you could do either on that one because they had added the gestures, or they didn't.
I think you can on the iPads.
Yeah, the iPads you can. Yeah, but if you do swipe up on an iPhone home button version, it'll just bring up Control Center.
Right.
Okay.
Because control center is in the bottom as opposed to the top right.
The top,
Right,
yeah.
right. That's right. There's no top swipe.
All right, and then the time is winding down here. I just wanted to bring up one app that I saw here. This actually, I linked over here to 9to5Mac because it gives good information about it. Opera, which is a alternate browser that's out there, launched a modern redesign for its minimalist iPhone and iPad browser. They did a major update to this, and then I guess it used to be called the Opera Touch iOS browser. I didn't even realize that. It's now rebranded to just Opera. The latest version is all the redefined UI, modernize things. Well, I guess we needed to do that. It's not a bad design. They did a new color palette. They made some changes to the light and dark modes, the private mode, and it's not a bad app. But again, I'm always been partial to Safari. I still continue to use Safari on my iPhone. But the other browsers are on there too. I mean, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge has gotten a little better. And Firefox, I've used that once in a while. I got that on there too. And but I got to have all the browsers on it because you want to try them and see how they go, how they work. But honestly, Edge actually doesn't work too terribly bad on iOS compared to.
I haven't tried it yet.
I switched as soon as they let you switch to defaults. I switched to Edge. And
did you?
I have one or two things, like we get an email from work every day to do a COVID check-in.
Oh, right.
And for some reason on Safari it errors out, but on Edge it errors out, but Safari works. So I think there's still some coding differences in them that they have to work out. But for the most part, I like the way how it syncs. It syncs across all devices, including Windows if you have to use Windows, which you can't do with Safari.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and it works with and for work too. For us especially, decide we want to use a browser to be able to access some of the work resources. Microsoft Edge browser is de facto because it's Microsoft and keeps us compliant. So, but the Opera, I have not had a chance to really check it too much, but they are spouting that it is lightning fast. If you look in the description of their on the app, it's another alternative for browsing, and I'm glad Apple's really become a lot more not so bad with the locking things down to Safari when you do have an option to use other browsers. So, all right,
I think Opera. That's been around forever. I've used Opera
forever.
20 years ago. Yeah, for
sure. So. All right. I think we have come to a close for this week's episode. Appreciate everybody listening. Let me go ahead and close us out and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on the Amazon Echo. I even tested it today and said, Echo, play In Touch with iOS latest episode. And it opened it up in Amazon Music, because we're on there as well as radio.com and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. And Holden and Depardo, thanks for being here this week. We really appreciate it. Where can people find you?
I am on Twitter @Holden Depardo. It's like my personal account. And then I'm also on a video game podcast called Respawning Fire, which is @Respawning Fire. And I'm also on another Apple podcast called Networked, which is just @Networked Podcast on Twitter.
Yeah, I've been listening. You guys got some great stuff. And keep up the great work. And as you see, a lot of fun doing podcasts. You got 2 of them. I'm doing like 4 of them. So maybe 5. Warren thinks I'm crazy because I do too many podcasts. He has a limit, so that's why I don't. I could do as many as I want, but
I have a hard stop at 2. Is what I have.
So and then Brian, any place where everybody can find you, or you just
I'm exclusive to your podcast, Dave.
Nice. IT professional, appreciate and we're good friends, so I really appreciate you being here, and you as well. Appreciate it. And Warren, what's been going on in Mac to the Future? It's been kind of busy this week.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff, but I usually use this time to thank the guests. Definitely Brian and Holden. Thanks for coming. And was I on the show last time when they were on?
No,
I remember that.
Yeah, you were busy.
Away.
You might have been away for the holiday, so we So I had to keep my weekly schedule. So then Holden and Brian were.
That's fine. I always say don't.
No. Well, you weren't last resort before, and you weren't this time. I invited you, and you graciously accepted. So I really appreciate it.
I always tell you, do not stop a show for me. Keep going because I'm never reliable in that way. But thanks, guys, for coming.
Thanks for being here. And next week we'll have Jeff Gamet back on the show. So I always like always having Jeff because he's kind of become a regular guest here. So again, appreciate everybody listening. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk again soon.